So, projecting politics into 25, then we're going to see the results, aren't we? We're going to reap what's been sown in terms of the Labour government as they approach their kind of 1 year anniversary, and hope some of the investments. It's certainly cost enough. I hope some of the investments will start to pay off, or at least we'll be able to see positive trajectory. On the bigger picture, I do hope and expect that we'll see the conclusion of the two major wars, the Gaza and the Ukraine. It might be by political settlements, compromise, commitments, things like that. I don't think it'll be an all-out military victory, although I suppose that's more likely on the one in the Middle East. We're going to see, I guess, streamlining of public services in the UK, maybe as we have to kind of dial back on some of the larger spending commitments, because the taxpayer, me, you, and business can't pick up the tab on the goals or the promises. That's a prediction, and also that as the opposition parties hold government to account, there'll be more calls for, I think, electoral reform to make the next government, or a government of the distant future, potentially more representative of the voting population in the UK. So a little bit of politics. Second one is about the economic situation, and fortunately, while still challenging, we do see some tailwinds. Interest rates have obviously reduced to the kind of the coming down to hopefully the 2% type level that inflation already is. So that's the biggest problem, least managed at the moment for the time being. It was a little uptick after the public sector pay rises, which are obviously inflationary, but things are looking on a stable platform, so that's okay. There's still a skills shortage, which is kind of good news and bad news for recruitment. It's there's high demand for people, but it's tough to find the right people with the right motivations to move. But that's what I and we do. For a living. That's why we're of value. What we do need, though, in the REC campaigns for, is that robust industrial strategy. To plan long term, that the education and the immigration systems and training and things like that mirror and support what business needs now and in the future, because there's a massive gap, and it's probably in other countries as well, like Australia and Canada, to be fair. If it was easy, it'd be fixed already, but we need to keep at it, and that requires also some long-term investment in key and growing industries. Like, it answers, helps answer some of the questions, as to what's our place in the world, and what's the UK going to be known for and good at in the future. And there is a lot of talk, essentially, and hopefully progress in terms of those key industries of green and renewable energy and technologies, and perhaps the kind of growing healthcare and pharmaceuticals sector, especially as it melds with tech, for bio technology and medical devices and things like that are increasingly in demand with our aging demographic on society, which we're going to come to, no doubt, in a little bit. Next one's about social factors, and there's kind of like a tension, actually, I think, here, in that we might make a transition, like, overall, with loads of exceptions, obviously, from individualism to more a community. People recognizing the need to be kind of known, and to be part of something, and the kind of the recognition of the downside of the navel gazing, solitary existence, which kind of leads to the kind of anxiety and depression problems that have been rife these days, especially in the younger people. And I'm all for that being addressing, and things like suicide rates coming down, like one is too many, obviously. So groups, be they kind of social and community groups, charity work, church, hope of the world, might have more of a renaissance, in society. Hope so, and there'll be certainly more multiculturalism. That's just unavoidable, undeniable, and that's going to again have like different effects. There's going to be more kind of harm, perhaps more understanding, more harmony, more building bridges and things like that, but there's going to be some conflict associated with that, and people defending their own beliefs rightly, perhaps less usefully kind of hunkering down on their own kind of divisive position and things like that. But interesting how that plays out in the longer term, and from a business point of view as well. I think that companies are going to have to practice what they preach. I think in the digital and transparent age, that just virtue signaling and talking the talk, so to speak, in terms of diversity and inclusion, and building culture that kind of avoids misogyny and things like that, like evidence of the gender pay gap and things like that. It's going to be time for the companies who are genuinely kind of doing the right thing to step forward and progress, and people are not accepting of empty promises anymore. So I think there's going to be progress certainly in that area, which is all good. On the technical side, the strapline, I think, in recruitment is that we're not going to be replaced, or another recruitment consultant isn't going to be replaced by AI anytime soon, although that's the big tech talk. It's more that you're going to be replaced by a recruiter who's using AI better than you. So as in that it's a tool of the trade, that's not going to be able to run totally autonomously, obviously, but it's both an opportunity and a threat. So companies are doubling down, I think, on strategies to either go that kind of tech and efficiency and cutting edge route, and to wow people with their innovation and things like that, or to go with more the human approach, being kind of real, authentic, having that extra contact, and benefiting from the creativity or the empathy and things like that that's kind of unique to humans. So it might be that it's again the genius of and instead of the tyranny of or, and you can have good kind of human interaction with good tech processes as well. So it's how you do the mix, isn't it? On an unintended consequence, I guess, on a business and a country level, the tech advances are meaning increasingly that the party with the money is going to be the party with the competitive advantage, rather than necessarily their current market or position, a country position in the world. Like an example would be drone technology, potentially replacing current kind of missile and jet warfare, and that it would favour perhaps smaller but more agile, more kind of moneyed economies like, say, Singapore, over ones that are more traditional military, like, say, Russia. Tech is going to, I guess, just make it bigger effect as to who's the winner and losers in things like, be it business or war. I'm certainly hoping that there's room for that kind of good, honest, straightforward, person to person type recruitment, which I think I'm well known for. I'm looking forward to offering to clients and candidates in the future. On the legal side of things, it's kind of more of an adaptation to just an evolution rather than a revolution. I think there's some concerns over or eyebrow raising about changes in employment law, which largely are kind of fine and good companies are doing anyway, in terms of right to work, and the kind of day one employment rights and things like that. So the recruitment industry will have to adapt, as we've have done over the years anyway, with things like AWR, Working Time Directive, GDPR, kind of Data Protection Acts and things like that. But it's becoming more complex, especially if you're operating internationally. So people need to keep track, and I'm also a little bit kind of aware and concerned, like on the legal side, that There's more insurances required. There's more potential for getting sued by disgruntled employee or client and things like that. So there's more of that kind of litigation culture, and it's good to keep legal professionals in your network as well. With that being the case. So coming into land with environmental as the last of PESEL. I think, big picture, there's loads of snakes in the or guns in the situation, that there's climate crisis, potential for world war, population collapse, it's been argued as well, especially in the West. So there's global level concerns and events, but from an environmental point of view, with recruitment companies, we're a people business essentially. There's no kind of manufacturing type carbon footprint, so it's not a major factor, but there is a lot of thought about the wider kind of ESG aspects, like environmental social governance. Companies want to do the right thing, evidence that they're doing the right thing through the supply chain, things like that. So sustainability and ethics are important. A lot of recruitment companies I've seen, or increasingly anyway, are kind of registered B Corp organisations, which is great. I think it's important to be values driven, certainly. So have a purpose greater than just the making of money and placements. And my kind of cultural North Star is that kind of moving people to a brighter future. So to make progress for candidates and for clients. So I'll certainly be holding myself to account on that. And lastly, bonus of PESEL are PESLer, to finish off with recruitment, that the market looks like it's heading in the right direction, and as a minimum, I'm certainly hoping that the rising tide will lift all boats, but aiming a little higher than that, I'd love, and I do plan and hope and plan to outperform, to do better and to outperform that market as well anyway. And that as ever will be on the basis of values, that expertise, integrity and commitment, kind of aspects that I've always had as underpinning the Macstaff brand. But then in terms of my personal brand, I did a bit of research on that recently, and people gave feedback as to describe me in a word, and it was things like responsible, honesty, integrity, professionalism. So I'm glad that it's those kind of things that are pushing my personal brand, and I appreciate all the kind of feedback, and intend to keep the positive wider relationships with recruiters and clients for 2025. Your network is your net worth, as they say, and I'm certainly very grateful that you're in some way part of mine, and just remains to wish you all the best for 2025. I genuinely wish you the best year ever. Nothing to it but to do it, I guess. So best of luck. Do stay in touch. Cheers.